All right, so today's all about circles, and you already know about circles. In class so far, we've already talked about the circumference equaling pi times diameter. But today we're going to talk about the area of a circle, and the area of that circle is pi r squared. So, don't forget that circumference is a length, right? It is the length around the circle, whereas the area is the area of the space inside of it. So we're just going to dive right in. So this question says, find the exact area and circumference of a circle with a diameter of 14 centimeters. So when I take a look at that, it asks me to find the area and their circumference. So it doesn't really matter which one I start with. Since I'm given the diameter, I could do that first. Circumference equals pi times diameter of 14. And so I get my circumference to be 14 pi centimeters. However, to be able to get the area, I need to know the radius. If the diameter is 14, the radius is going to be half of that. So it's 7. And so my radius here is 7, and I'm substituting it into my area formula of a circle. And that gives me 49 pi. And because it's area, don't forget that I will have units squared, so centimeters squared. So you try. Go ahead and determine the exact circumference and exact area of a circle with the radius of 3 centimeters. All right, and now let's look at a second example. This one says, given the circumference is 18 pi, so circumference equals pi times diameter. If the circumference is 18 pi, I can solve for my diameter, and that's what's going to help me find the exact area. So I'm going to divide both sides by pi, and I get that my diameter is 18. Now don't forget that my area formula is pi r squared, so I don't need diameter, I need radius, and the radius must be 9. So when I do that, I get that the area equals pi times 9 squared, and we know 9 squared is 81. So we have 81 pi meters squared. Okay, give this one a try. You're given a circle circumference of 22 feet. Find that exact area. All right, now we're going to look at example 3. So given a circle is inscribed means that at all of these points it is touching right here. And it's inscribed inside of square ABCD. So we do know this is a square. It says that the radius is 5 inches. So I'm going to draw in that radius right here and label it 5. So that, oh, I didn't draw the radius in the right spot. The radius goes to the edge of the circle, right? Not the corner of the square. Goes to the edge of the circle. So the radius is 5 inches. And we would like to find the area of the shaded region. So whenever we have a shaded region, we're either looking to break the shaded region into parts that we can add up, or we're looking for a total area that we can take away the white space. So in this case, I think that's the easier strategy. I'm going to do the area of the square minus the area of the circle, and that's how I'm going to find the area of my shaded region. So to do that, I need to find both of those things. So let's start with the circle, because I already know the radius of my circle, and I know that my formula is pi times radius squared. So I already know the area of my circle is 25 pi inches squared. But finding the area of my square is going to be a little bit tricky, because in order to do that, what I really need to be able to find is either this space all the way across, right? I'm trying to find this, or the vertical space. Well, let's think about that for a second. This is a radius of 5. This is a radius of 5. Together, they would make a diameter of 10, which means I know that my area of the square, which is 10 times 10, or 10 squared, my area of that square has to be 100. Right? 2 radii make a diameter, and the diameter spans from one side of the square to the other. So now that I know that, I know my key information, and I can go ahead and substitute. Area of a square is 100 minus area of a circle is 25 pi. So my exact answer is 100 minus 25 pi inches squared. I can't combine those any further because they're not like terms, right? One of them has a pi multiplied by it and the other doesn't. Now, if I want to get the exact answer, I can, the approximate answer, I can type that into my calculator and get 21 point, and what do we have to round to? Nearest tenth, so 21.5 inches squared. So, your turn to give this one a try. Looks like on your diagram, this 6 root 2 might have been hard to read. But don't forget, if the whole diagonal is 6 root 2, then this part of the diagonal is 3 root 2. And this part of the diagonal is 3 root 2. And let's picture this right triangle. How can you use that right triangle to help you? Because, right, if this is 6 root 2, and it makes a right triangle like that with 2 legs congruent, you can find the side length of those legs. And then don't forget that this part of your side length would be the same as this radius. So those are some hints. Go ahead and figure out what's the area of the square, RSTU. Then figure out what's the area of circle, O. And then figure out what is the area of the shaded region. All right. So let's look at this example next. We have the diameter of each circle is 8 centimeters. So I'm going to go ahead and label that. I don't know if it's easier to label this as 4 and 4 and 4 and 4, right? I'm not sure if that's the easiest way, or to label the whole diameter 8 and 8. I'm not quite sure, but we want to find the area of the shaded region. So again, the area of that outer shape, the rectangle, taking away the area of the circle, but we have to remove that area of the circle twice, right? We have to remove both circles. That will give us the area of the shaded region. So we have to find each thing. So let's find the area of the circle. We know the radius is 4. So my area is 16 pi. That's my area of the circle. Now my area of my rectangle is going to be base times height, right? Well, I can see the length of that base is going to have to be 4 plus 4 plus 4 plus 4. So that's 16 units long. And the height, well, if this radius is 4, then this is 4, and this is 4. So that height is 8. So the area of my rectangle is going to be 16 times 8, which is 128. So if I'm trying to find the area of the shaded region, I'm going to take that area of the rectangle, which is 128. I'm going to subtract the circle once because we have one circle. And then I'm going to subtract it twice because we have a second circle that I need to remove to get that shaded region. Now, since it asked for the exact area, all I can combine are my like terms. So 16 pi and 16 pi would be 32 pi. And that's all I can do. I'm going to put in my units, but that is my exact area. So you give this a try. The diameter of each circle is 10 centimeters. Go ahead and find the exact area of the shaded region. Now, let's take a look at video example 5. In this example, instead of having a circle inscribed inside a square, the circle is now circumscribed around the square. So the area of that shaded region would be the area of the circle minus the area of the square. It says the perimeter of the square is 32. So if I divide that by 4, I see that each side of my square is 8. So I can easily find out that the area of my square has to be 8 times 8, which is 64. Now it's the circle that's going to be a little bit trickier because I really need to know the radius. Now if I think about that radius right there, that's going all the way to the corner. Okay. And I have my height here. I could make it a right angle if I wanted to. And make that 4 and 4. And then one thing that I know about this is that this distance right here, this leg and this leg, let's see, should be the same, right? Because I know that a square, when we draw on the diagonal, makes a 45, 45, 90. So I can draw in 45, 45, 90, 1, 1, root 2. And what I'd really like to know is this hypotenuse, which is my radius. That's across from 90. I know across from 45 is 4. So now I get my ratios to look like this. And I can cross multiply to get that my radius is going to be 4 root 2. Now I'm ultimately really trying to find that area of a circle. So that's going to be pi times the radius squared. So if I think about what square means multiply by itself. So 4 root 2 times 4 root 2. 4 times 4 is going to give me 16. Root 2 times root 2 is just 2. So when I do that, I get the area of the circle is 32 pi. So my exact solution would be 32 pi minus 64. My approximate solution would be 36.5, and I need to put units on both of those. All right, good luck. Hope you are doing well. See me with questions.